Alright, so my little brother Michael, he just simply ain't got the brains God gave a fucking rock. That little brother Michael, he's married. He molested his stepdaughter. She kicked him out, called the cops. My mom was able to convince this impressionable young woman to take my little brother back and to scare her daughter into not bringing charges against him. My little brother is so loyal to his wife Ashley that I'm gonna read this to you. I just got sent this a few minutes ago. It's from Amanda DeMet. By the way, there's conversations between her and I on here too. She typed to me, "How's it going? I have Michael bugging me asking for pics. Pervert. What you doing?" I typed, "Trying to get the image of a naked Ferengi trying to boff you out of my mind. Ew. My little brother needs some time in prison." She typed, "Oh, fun." Yep. Now I wonder, how many of you live in the same town as Michael Allen Albert and his wife, Ashley Albert? If you live in the same town as my little brother, I want you to go let Ashley know that he's continuing to do this. First of all, this isn't the only person who he's doing this with. He's not loyal. And like Ashley, she's a fucking idiot. She might be a good person. Intelligence doesn't determine whether you're a good or bad person. Now, a stupid person is easy to manipulate. An intelligent person in a desperate situation is also easy to manipulate, especially when all of their options are cut off because they don't have your rights because they got called mentally ill. That's right. A tip for all of you rapists out there, Michael. When you rape someone, make sure you call them mentally ill. Pick someone who is mentally ill. Find out if they're bipolar. Find out if they're autistic. Make sure you can get away with it. That's the moral of the goddamn story here. Make sure that you have enough friends in your corner to help you get away with whatever crime you've committed. Like Natalie did. Like like Matty Boa did. Like Alicia did. Like Ted did. Play enough head games. I'm going to tell you my honest opinion on rape, though. If you rape somebody, even if it's just once, you should spend the rest of your life in prison. Number two, you should have the option. If you're accused of that, you don't have to be accused in a court of law. All right? Just for being accused of that, you should have the option of assisted suicide because you're not going to have much of a future, especially if you're alone, especially if you've been tagged by the media. Also, I believe that evidence needs to be required. If you're not willing to go to court and show evidence, then you're lying out your fucking ass. Is it my choice for the courts to refuse to look at anything I bring them, or for the police to refuse to look at anything I bring them? No. Now, there's a few conversations between me and Amanda DeMet on this here YouTube channel talking about my little brother, my little sister, my mother, my family situation. Most of the people who know me and know my family situation. Chris Stegeman, he tells me, Sean, there aren't very many people who are going to be able to understand you because not many people have gone through this much stuff. Right. See, between just locking me up and throwing away the key, or going out of their way to do the things that they've done the last few years, I'd much rather have them just throw me away and lock me up forever, never let me out, or put a bullet in my head, or help me to get an honest fucking day in court. When I say my family is just as nasty as Natalie's, I do mean it. My little brother's a child molester, pedophile at that. My older brother Eric, he's not a pedophile. He's just a fucking junkie now, just like Natalie and Alicia. Does that mean I don't love him? He's still my brother, you son of a bitch. Even knowing Michael is a fucking sexual predator, I still love him. He's been a sexual predator since high school. But he gets away with it. He gets away with being an actual sexual predator. And I am victimized for not being a sexual predator, as if I were a sexual predator. Explain that one to me. I want you to look at the messages on Natalie's Messenger between all of these guys and herself, and a lot of these women and herself too, because she was bisexual. And I want you to look at how many of them spend all of their time hitting on her, telling her how cute, how pretty, how hot she is. It's a goddamn popularity contest. That's all Facebook is. The only reason I even have Facebook is so that I can get in contact with people. I got two uncles on my mom's side that are incestuous fucking child molesters. They took turns raping my aunt. Their names are Matt and James. And my aunt's name is Marcy. My grandpa and my dad both have the same name. They're both named Brian. My mom's dad, his name is Brian. My dad's dad, his name is David. They're both dead now. David died when I was 4 or 5. They took me out of the foster home so I could go to the funeral, and they let Dad out of prison for the day so he could go to the funeral. Except we kids didn't get to go to the funeral. We had to stay in the house while they all went to the funeral. That was in Bayard. My grandpa raped my mom, and my mom extorted over 200. Well, my mom and my uncle Greg extorted over $200,000 from my grandpa using that. You know what my grandpa died of? Rectal cancer. There's karma for you. Now, if my mom died of poverty, that'd be karma for you too. If she died of an STD that she got from one of these people that she cheated on my stepdad with, that'd be karma too. If somebody pushed her into a pool, that'd be karma too. My mom has this recurring dream that she's in a wheelchair and she falls in the pool and she dies. My mom is absolutely 100% certain that she's going to end up in a wheelchair and drown in a swimming pool. But my mom's nuttier than fucking squirrel turds. You know, it'd be funny if she never ended up in a wheelchair and died of old age. My mom is the only person on this planet that I want to outlive. Do you know why? Because she is such an evil, twisted, vindictive bitch. I want to see if the world gets better without her in it. There's one. Neutrino, are you sitting inside of a foil capsule? No, no, I'm not. This is my camper, or my horse trailer, actually. When I got it, it was just a shell. There wasn't even a floor. It was just cross members and cross braces made of metal, and you could walk right through it without touching the metal. Well, as long as you can high step, because it's about a foot off the ground. Maybe a foot and a half, I don't know. The thing is, when I first came to this place, it is pretty cool. A lot of people ask me, they tell me that it looks like an alien spaceship or something. So I'm half expecting somebody to make another Sean Schwartz fucking hate thing and just take a picture of this place and say, see, he thinks he's an alien living in a fucking spaceship. In reality, I got this lantern right here. Now, I have an actual plug-in lamp and an actual one of these now. But when I first started working on it, and I am here at night, this is the only light that I had. It's not that bright. But with all of the aluminum foil, see, this thing is an ugly brown color on the inside. But with all the aluminum foil and the silver paint and the white paint, it made it about 10 times more bright. Still really, really not that bright. But the thing of 200 square feet of aluminum foil was only $7. And I use a lot of aluminum foil. There are a lot of things that you can use aluminum foil for. You know what else I go through a lot of? Hangers. So I'll give you a tour of the shop, because giving you a tour of the shop is a much more positive thing than talking about the child molesters I'm fucking related to. All right. Let's see if we can do this right. Part of my hammer collection. By the way, I made two of those hammers. Made them myself. Let's see. Maybe if I do it from back here. That's all aluminum foil. Aluminum foil. There's my generator. It runs off of, it's dual fuel. It'll run on gasoline or liquid propane gas. There's my drill press. I bought that from David and Laura Nelson, I want to say about 2 months ago. The place is filled with a lot of different stuff. I mean, it's a work in progress. A lot of that in those bags is recyclables. This is really good stuff right here. Oh my God, that's catnip. That's a whole bag of catnip. That's not my entire camper. You can see over here more tools. There's basically my blacksmithing table. I mean, it's not perfect by any means. This is the brown color that it is. There's my back wall. It's just temporarily held up. I gotta go through and organize, and I have been organizing it. Obviously this thing had no floor in it even. This is my bed in here. Yes, I understand that it's just a pillow top. It's not an actual mattress. But the fact is, I like it here. This is mine. I don't have to worry about paper thin walls and my neighbors going crazy if I'm up all night. Look at all those tools. Here's another hammer I made, and I understand it's really not that great or important. It's just a fucking railroad spike attached to a sword handle. This is the sword handle to that sword there that I bent up. I got 2 more of them to bend up so that they're no longer usable as weapons. All 3 of those were all rusty when I got them. Let's see. This one didn't have a handle when I got it. No, this one did have a handle when I got it, but it split, so I taped it up. This one did not have a handle when I got it. That piece right there was rusted and sitting in a pile of oil. It's from Union Pacific Railroad.
and the handle came out of the garbage can over by the railroad. This I got from Big J, and it had the handle on it already. Let's take a look outside. There's my air bubble. I pulled it out. That's the city building. These are some of my propane containers. Empty, empty, empty. This one is not only empty, this is actually the one that I'm going to use to make the oven to make my bricks in. This, oh my God, you notice that it's completely open. There's no propane in it. It's been open like that for a good long while. So when I cut it open, it'll be wide enough that I can put the mold in there. The mold will be, well, the item itself is supposed to be 1 inch by a foot by a foot. So those things are just a little bit bigger than that. They're about 15 inches across. It's right here. The tire, I had to take it off. Oh, here it is. It's flat as all hell. I got 2 tires to replace it with. That's the guy who owned the place's gasoline. We've been filling it up a little bit at a time while gas is cheap. Getting the good stuff that doesn't have ethanol in it. This is a lot of the stuff that was in his house that he's taken out, and I'm gonna be replacing some of that stuff that I put in there temporarily with these. They're tall enough. The rest of it in there is just too short. I just put it in there to set it up so that I could work on some projects real quick. Projects that I needed to be able to finish this thing. I mean, obviously it's going to take a bit, but I got more building materials. All of these came out of his house. The house is looking a lot better. It no longer looks like it was torn up by meth heads, and it was torn up by meth heads. Well, the John Deere, that thing, I probably Kyle. Then each one of them, they're not going anywhere. More tools I got from Big J. Here's the saw. Oh, damn, that didn't sound good. There's a little burner right there. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see. I can't really tell where the camera is unless I'm looking right at it. So yeah, it's kind of a shit pit. I go through every other day, like clockwork, and I pick up all the garbage, anything that's recyclable. Ah, that's fucking hot. Well, those go into these bags that are around. Once I get that back part cleared out, all of those bags are going to be put in my recycling container. One of them's for plastic, the other one is for aluminum. Fuck, that zipper got hot. It ain't that much of it sitting in the sun, but it's enough that when you lean on it for a couple seconds, you start to feel it. Now, the real issue with that, not that it hurt extremely, it's that it fucking surprised the shit out of me. No, it's not covered in aluminum because I'm a fucking neck job. It's covered in aluminum because it's reflective. And I didn't have power out here to begin with. It will be. I have the low income up there. But this is my home. That so that I can take care of the legal stuff that I have been prevented from doing because I didn't have an address, didn't have my own mailbox. I had to depend on others who were undependent. I had to depend on Shannon Alvarado, who was too drunk. I had rheumatoid arthritis meds. I stopped flipping off Uncle D and Aunt B's house when I walked by. Do you know why? Because Uncle D came outside and talked to me like a human being. He didn't start off that way. He came out screaming and hooting and hollering and looking for a fucking fight.
Uncle D could probably kill me on accident with one punch. He's a big man. He's also a pretty good boxer. No, I wouldn't stand a chance in hell of winning a fight against him, but I told him if he wants to fucking beat me down, he can. I told him I wouldn't even fight back. Instead, he sat down with me. And for once, he actually listened to what I had to say. He listened to me. So I don't flip off his house anymore. I'm still pissed off at Aunt B, but I'm not going to flip off their house. Todd Rust, he's the only one out of the people that 6 people in town that every time I walk by them, I flip them off. Martindale's, I stopped flipping them off. Do you know why? Because I walked by Rick Martindale's and I flipped him off. He saw my finger, but he just waved. Told me it was good to see me. I told him I was going to stop flipping him off in his house. I haven't flipped it off since. 2 of those other people are officers. They'll always get my finger. And the last one, of course, is Todd Rust. I stopped flipping off Todd Rust when I moved here because this is Todd Rust's son-in-law, not son-in-law. Todd Rust was married to his mom for a lot of years. Todd Rust is a fake-ass Christian. This is a universal symbol of peace? That's cute. That's the first thing that I said to the reporters when I got out of the Boulder County Jail. You know, that reporter that was chewing on her tongue and her cameraman who backed himself into somebody's vehicle? Yeah, the first thing I said to them when I came out of the courtroom was, wait for what, David Malley? You're probably high, but that might be a Rick and Morty reference. I don't really watch Rick and Morty, but I like Rick and Morty better than I like Family Guy and better than I like American Dad. Brenda Dickinson was the one who told me about my little brother molesting his own daughter. Stepdaughter, I'm sorry. It's still wrong. His real daughter has poor sexual boundaries as well. I just met her when she was down here for my grandma's funeral. And in the amount of time that we were down here, she had a crush on Eric. She had a crush on me. She had a crush on one of our cousins. This is my little brother's actual genetic line. His actual blood child. Well, the point here is that people wanted someone to victimize, and they found someone. Now, if I had not been homeless, I was made homeless by Natalie's death. I had a place to stay. I also had a place up here in low income that I never went to. I was never here. There was nothing here for me. It's better down. I mean, sure, Lee is a piece of shit. Oh, it unfroze again. That's nice. So, yeah, I was pushed to repeated suicide attempts. Putting me on suicide watch is about the most efficient way to push me to suicide. It's traumatic. When I decided that instead of killing myself, I was kept, hey, we can lock this guy up and enhance our prestige. You go looking at all of the calls between myself and all of these places, all they hear is, we can lock this guy up. No, I have chosen to try again to get you officers to do your goddamn jobs. In Chapel, Nebraska here, over 30 times since Natalie's death, I've tried to get them to do their jobs. There's no pressure for them to do their jobs. Matter of fact, there is a lot of public pressure for them not to do their jobs, for them to break the law and continue to break the law. They know there's no consequences because nobody else is speaking out loud in public. Typing a little bit here and there in one of these Natalie Facebook groups isn't the same as what they did with, well, Sammy Leon Lawrence IV and Zade Atkinson, Michelle Rodriguez. What happened with them? People posted that shit everywhere. I even posted those things on my timeline. Why? Because I was assaulted by the same officer, Waylon Lolatai, who is darker than all of them, by the way. And they called it a race crime. They call these race crimes. No, they do this to all of the homeless. But not all of the homeless have the benefit of having dark skin and living in a house. How is it that these people got actual rights? Well, Sammy Leon Lawrence wasn't actually homeless. Or Sammy Leon Lawrence IV, I'm sorry. Zed Atkinson was not actually homeless. And by the time Michelle Rodriguez had court, she wasn't homeless either. The conversations between myself and Darren O'Connor, they show that he knows that it was an anti-homeless thing and not a racist thing. Push that it was all racism. No, Darren O'Connor, you're the one being racist by ignoring the fact that this isn't just happening to minorities. They did those things to Sammy Leon Lawrence IV and Zed Atkinson because they thought those men were homeless. The only reason they didn't get away with it, there's two of them. Well, three if you count the public support of Black Lives Matters for at least Zed Atkinson. The public support of Black Lives Matters for at least Zed Atkinson. So what is it? First of all, it's the fact that somebody was recording it. I had my recording stuff repeatedly stolen and broken by law enforcement. Law enforcement in this very town. When I went in to talk to Jen Beebe, what'd they do? Well, they broke my video camera. The one that I had recorded the very first visit when it was me and Molly Smith in there. Now, those files were not corrupted, but when I got them back from Brian Valenzuela, who is from Sheridan Police Department, who is investigating crime outside of his jurisdiction, by the way. Amanda Jonas, or not Amanda Jonas, but Pamela Carty could have gotten that dropped in 10 minutes. 10 minutes worth of court, and she could have gotten that dropped just by doing her job. By simply saying what it is that I had explained to her. Ken and Leah don't live in Sheridan. They live in Inglewood. You also get to hear, now me and Miss Peaches, we had an argument. Tabby called her up and told her a bunch of slander. Now, here's the thing, is that how could I remedy that? Well, I could send Miss Peaches, the conversations between myself and Tabby that are on this YouTube. Well, I can't because I'm blocked. She won't listen. She won't look. Tells me I'm dead to her. Bitch, you how much you did to help me. It didn't matter because you didn't come forward about it. And because you didn't come forward about it, it didn't make any goddamn difference. No matter how much work we put in together, if you don't speak up about it, write it down. Which officers did you speak with? They prevented me from doing that. Every time that I was assaulted by a police officer and trying to turn them in, they'd put me on suicide watch, prevent me from using a pencil, and refuse to tell me their names. Their body camera footage in Boulder County proves that. But they wouldn't give it to me because I need a lawyer to get that. I'm not allowed to have it. I have to have money for a lawyer to get that. That body camera footage should have been given to my attorney, and she knew it, and they knew it. And between turning that over and dropping the charges against me, train, I don't remember where I was at. See how easy that happens? The more overwhelmed I am, the easier it happens. Now, a lot of you guys, you can't tell when I'm having a panic attack. You know why? Because I'm always having one. Non-stop, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. A non-stop panic attack. Flashback after flashback after flashback after flashback. On the last video that I posted, in the comments section, I gotta gain control of my thoughts somehow. Yeah, it's called positivity. It's called getting to see my loved ones. Something that all of these people keep right over their fucking head. See, here's why it didn't register to Natalie Bollinger. She's pretty. People always want to fight for her attention. Same thing with Alicia. If they destroy somebody's life, it's no big thing. They'll throw them away and pull another one out of the suitor pile. It doesn't matter to them how they destroy people's lives. It's not mental illness. Mental illness is always an insult. I want you to remember that like a boss. Mental illness. Anytime you say mentally ill, you are misleading. No matter what. That word is too broad of a word. It is not specific at all to any mental disability. When someone says mentally ill instead of mentally disabled, when you say disabled, which is actually what they are, they have rights. When you call them mentally ill, that is a term that is used to dismiss no matter what, even if you don't mean it that way. Most of the population sees the term mentally ill, and what do they start thinking about? They start thinking about Jeffrey Dahmer, who ate little kids' genitalia. They start thinking about Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. They start thinking about Jack the Ripper. They start thinking about all of the schizophrenic people they know and how fucking batshit goddamn loopy they are. When you say mentally ill, that's what people get in their mind. That's what it conjures in their mind. People who are mentally ill are always wrong. Always. 100% of the time, you are wrong. If you are alone and called mentally ill, you get assaulted by a college kid. He means you more than you. He is more of a human being than you. Why is he more of a human being than you? Because people look at him and they go, hey, if I do something to him, the cops might care. If I do something to him, he might be able to sue me. If I do something to him, he might have backup. You do that shit to a homeless person, cops do that to homeless people all the time and get away with it. College kids beat people up all the time and get away with it. That conversation that I had with Ed Simmons, we talk about over. And when them 6 college kids came down and tried to beat him to death with a rock, I met him just shortly after he got out of the hospital. And I want to say he spent like 8 months there. I mean, they fucked him up. They followed him to where he sleeps because beating up homeless people and trying to kill them with a rock is acceptable if you're a college student. Ashley Coffee did is what got me to become a psych major. There's not enough education on illnesses like that, including the autism spectrum. Well, these officers are all trained in the autism spectrum. The ones in Boulder, all of them are. I didn't find that out until recently. Every single one of those officers knew that what they were doing was the wrong thing to do. Every one of those officers was taught to do the opposite of what it is that they did. What's my first-hand education in? Abuse. That is my first-hand education. A lot of you guys, you come from a decent family. Everything is nice and dandy, and you want to help people, so you're going to become a therapist. And you know what I found out about people who become therapists? They're more fucked up than anybody who's going to walk into their office. Like Nicole Jarrell, trying to fuck me up the ass with an actual carrot. And we're not talking about carrots. We're not talking baby carrots. We're not talking actual carrots. She's got horses. We're talking about carrot fucking Zilla. And she's got perfect aim. She knew exactly where my cornhole was. When she first started telling me that she wants to shove a carrot up my ass, I thought she was making a joke. There was nothing fucking funny about that. Well, you guys, you get your education at school. I got my education firsthand, growing up with these people and taking a post that they did. I mean, the first person to fucking rape me was another kid. It was a boy named Domino. Where was that at? Mount St. Vincent. That's in Denver, Colorado. That was the very first person to rape me. And you know what? We had group with him. And he would talk about his dad raping him. Shit, like a boss, it ain't your fault. Ashley, you're exactly right. How can you really relate to someone if you can't put yourself in their shoes? And that's why I am able to help people out so well. Is because I literally put myself in other people's shoes. When I was in Virginia, stuck in the road, while I was still stuck in the road, the police hadn't showed up there yet. I put myself in Natalie's shoes. I put myself in It's because I was able to put myself in their shoes that I knew what was going on and what was going to happen. I'm not a fucking idiot. I know how junkies act. Sorry, addicts. I do have to say that the difference between an addict and a junkie to most of the public is how you look. If you look like Natalie or Alicia, you're an addict and you need help. Yeah, of course. Then again, if you look like Amy Valkyrie, you're a fucking junkie. Why is that? Because Amy Valkyrie really isn't the prettiest girl out there. She's a little overweight, a little plain Jane looking, and she knows it. She admits it. Shit, I'd date her before I'd date any of these other people. She's actually pretty straightforward. But the other thing is, she let me know with Sherman Watson recently that she's really just a fucked up piece of shit, too. And I got that in screenshots as well. Let's see, Ashley typed. All right, so I want to read this. This is interesting. David Malley typed, yo, my town is full of tweakers. David Malley, you're not going to find a town in America that's not full of tweakers. It's just not going to happen. I don't mean that to be rude, but Chapel, Nebraska is full of tweakers. Lodgepole, Nebraska is full of tweakers. Sydney, Nebraska is full of tweakers. Oshkosh, Nebraska. Ogallala, Lincoln, Omaha, Alliance, Scottsbluff, Minutair, Deering, all full of meth. Denver, Boulder, Longmont, full of meth. Sherman Oaks, Los Angeles, San Luis Obispo, all full of meth. Tacoma, Seattle, Burien, Des Moines, all full of meth. Rollins, Cheyenne, Buffalo, Casper, Cody, all full of meth. Bozeman, Billings, Hardin, Lodgegrass, all full of meth. Rapid City, full of meth. So I'm sorry you live in America. I guess is the way to say that, David. Ashley Coffey, that's the problem, especially in situations such as Sean's. No one seems to be able to honestly see it when it's repeatedly stolen, when I'm incarcerated for shit that I didn't do. Now, don't get me wrong, in August, I was incarcerated for shit that I railroaded over slander. These people already decided the outcome of my court dates before I even went to one. They see the bad media, that's it. It's not right, because that coined term equals stigma. That's right. Like a boss typed, let's see. Like a boss typed, it's all about looks mostly. Looks to most, sadly. Neutrino typed, he's not a bad guy. You can sense it when someone is bad. He's decent. Just needs to stay away from some of these people. I am away from these people. I drove 1,700 miles to get away from Natalie and Alicia. That's how badly I wanted to get the fuck out of there. Now, they would have helped to set me up a little bit there with these resources if I could walk to all of these resources. You know how much it killed me having to walk from Scottsbluff to Chapel, Nebraska, even with the rides that I got, having that backpack on. Now, I don't know if those cameras and stuff were broken by the police or if they were broken by Ruben. The fact that Ruben was throwing it in my face before I left, my camera was broken, my earphones were broken, my phone was broken, my computer was broken, let me know that it was probably Ruben. However, I wasn't there when it was broken, so I can't even tell you who broke it. Like a boss typed, I got clean before my junkie phase started, thank God. Right? And I want to say 2003 is when I moved to Boulder the first time. Why did I move to Boulder? All my friends were potheads in high school. Most of them were potheads in high school. And after high school, they graduated to meth. That was Case Leighton Morris, and the guy we call Gumby, his real name is Adam Garrett, and then his little brother, Tony Worley. There was Jason Vogt and Drake Chambers. Jason Vogt and Drake Chambers weren't really my friends, ever. But the other three were there to visit my friends. And that's good. Sorry about that. I don't even remember where I was because I was trying to shut down anything that might give me a better stream. Let's see. On the couch with Eva because they were going to be right back out in 5 minutes. So we sat down and watched some cartoon. They tweakers are fucking paranoid. If you're not on fuck track, they yeah, somebody who's not doing heroin might turn you in. Oh damn. Another unstable connection. Alright, we're back. Like a boss type, thank God. Anyway, the moral of the story is I decided I was going to do meth to hang out with my friends, and I have ADHD, so instead of making me all hyper and excited, it knocked me the fuck out for 20 hours. Then I'd wake up, they'd hand me a hit, and I'd pass out for another 20 hours. And I slept so much that those guys, they don't even remember that I was there. Of course, they were twacked out of their fucking mind. It was so gross. Matt Worley sitting on the toilet taking a shit while smoking a bowl of that shit with Drake Chambers and Jason Vogt. They're smoking that shit in the bathroom with someone who's taking a shit. And we're not talking about a bathroom. We're talking about something that's, well, it's smaller than an RV bathroom. And that was the motel down here. After about 30 days of that, Matt Worley got busted. He was stealing his mom's tools and selling them for meth. And I went, you know what? These aren't my friends anymore. These are tweakers. They are the drug now. So I left. I went to Boulder. And I had a lot of friends that froze to death, a lot of friends that died. And I finally left. And when I came back, I wasn't going to allow that to happen. I had prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed, and God didn't do a goddamn thing. He watched my loved ones freeze to death. I didn't. Passed out blankets for 7 years. I walked drunks to the warming center. Now, can I honestly say that I never lied? No, I lied to them fucking drunks the whole way there. One of those fucking Mormon centers was 7 miles away. You know how long it takes to get a drunk to walk 7 miles? You have to lie to them every step of the way. Dude, it's only 2 more blocks. It's only 2 more blocks. And you know you're full of shit, but you also know if you don't tell him it's only 2 more blocks, he's not going to try walking 2 more blocks and he's going to fucking freeze to death. You Tweaktown, USA. You're right. The whole fucking country. Like 3 connection. All right, we're back again. David Malley type, we have like a whole ass ghetto in a town with population. I think that's laughed my ass off. Chapel, Nebraska has less than 500 people population, and about half this town is ghetto as fuck. I mean, you see where I'm at. Like a boss type, can't stand the stuff. Ashley type, yep. Dahmer, Bundy, Gacy, I could go on. I gotta scroll up to that part. I have a massive mental storage on serial killers and the like. Like a boss type, can't stand the stuff. David Melly type used to be just a bunch of, and it's supposed to be stoners. But the cops weeded them out, and now mostly just tweakers left. That's exactly what happened in Boulder. 40 dudes down there selling methamphetamines. 7 people only fucking with weed. They didn't bust a single tweaker. They busted Janine Barrett, Joanna Taylor Smith, Derek Parrish, and let's see, David Surfour, and I don't know who else. There was 6 of them all together, or 7 of them all together, maybe. I don't remember exactly. It was years ago. David Malley typed, "I hate it." Ashley Coffey typed, "Which is why there needs to be more education. Education and removing the stigma is key." Absolutely 100%. Have not had any yet, but don't try it, dude. Don't fucking try it. If you have to meth to hang out with your friends, they're not your friends anymore. You need to get away from them. If you start doing that stuff, you're going to do it to hang out with them. You're going to get addicted to the stuff, and you're going to start going from your family to get it. Just like Matt Worley. What's meth like for me? Knocks me out. You'd have to ask somebody who it doesn't do that to find out what it normally does. David Malley typed, "Fortunately, neither have I, Neutrino." That's the right mentality, David. Ashley Coffey typed, "I wouldn't recommend doing that." What an odd question. I agree. Neutrino, how will I? Ashley typed, "I can totally relate, Sean. Abuse." Neutrino typed, "I like to learn about people." David Malley, the computer for 15 hours straight. I got a good story. We're back. When me and Chris lived in Lodgepole, there was a guy named Jason Boat who was a tweaker, and he was coming over and delivering, and Chris was using, of course. He spent 15 hours, took apart a radio, and looked at it for 15 hours. Put it back together. Actually, sorry. This I understand, but you may want to be mindful asking as to not trigger someone. That's true as well. Trigger, that's like my favorites. All right, we're back again. If it's there, you holy fucking Christ! I wish we'd stop doing that. Or Norfolk, anytime that you, those bring you back to it. Another trigger when you're used to that, you relive that experience because those people are doing that. Like with Shannon Alvarado screaming at Rick all the time. That was a trigger. Every time she did that, it was a trigger. And I tried explaining it to her, but alcoholics are selfish people. Shannon Alvarado is a selfish person, not when she's sober. Or not incredibly when she's sober. Neutrino types, if I upset someone, they can tell me about it. You didn't upset me, Neutrino, you're good. You might have upset a couple other people, but that's all part of the learning experience. Paul Boyle typed, "Hello from Ireland, hope all is good." Paul Boyle, I wish I'd have known you exist about 11, 12 years ago. Jamie Curtis, when she was on the cusp of either being a good person or becoming what she ultimately became, I think a trip to Ireland would have changed that entire thing. Of course, I could be wrong. Ashley typed, "Rude. Sometimes things like that can be really sensitive," and that's true. Neutrino typed, "Ash, let's see. I don't think you're rude. I just want to understand things, so I ask questions." Me too. Oh, we're back. Yeah, speed in the 80s was stealing your kid's Ritalin and snorting it. Spencer, who was just here, Amy Clean Kingery, her mom actually died snorting my little brother's Ritalin with my mom. Fucking crazy, right? Neutrino type, we don't all interact the same way. So it's hard to tell what will upset people. For me, anyway. You're absolutely right. And that's why it's important for Neutrino to ask these questions the way that he typed it. But his meaning, we could have understood better if it was a conversation because we could hear his tonal inflection. David Malley typed, yo, I don't know my triggers because it like rarely happens. But occasionally I just have flashbacks to when I was a kid. I can feel him hitting me again. It's awful. Miss T typed, alcoholics are selfish people. So true. Neutrino typed, thank you. Miss T typed, all addicts, really, including myself. Miss T, you and I have a lot in common just because of that sentence right there. You admit when you fuck up. You admit your faults. You just got a shit ton of respect from me out of just that one comment. It's true.